are here, and it's 90s night as well, although we didn't hear any Oasis in the beginning, Evan. I'm actually quite offended.
I know how much you love Oasis, Bailey, so I'm sorry. But word on the street is that Backstreet Boys,
that's what's playing
a
at
little bit
halftime.
later at halftime.
Absolutely.
So we've got some good music here at Thompson Field.
Take a look. Lauren Hargrove back in net for Virginia Tech. She missed over the weekend. Emily McCarter came in an unfamiliar spot and was the goalkeeper and had a clean sheet for the Hokies. But now Virginia Tech has its goalkeeper back. In the middle, Catherine Berry ready to kick it off, and we are underway in Blacksburg. Hokies wearing the white, 5-0-1 on the year. The lone draw against Indiana. South Carolina 4-0-2. Couple of draws against ACC teams, Clemson and Florida State. Avery Visage boots the ball across midfield for Tech. There's Tori Powell. Taylor Price almost got it past goal. Heather Hins already being tested just seconds into this one.
And what a great looking opportunity early. Both teams love to put pressure on the other, and we see it literally in the first 45 seconds.
This is a Hokies team that, for the most part, has not had trouble scoring any goals. 14 goals through 6 games. That's the best for Virginia Tech since 2014.
Bill, I was just about to make the point before that opportunity happened there for Tech that I'm really curious to see how the first 10 to 15 minutes of this first half go, because Virginia Tech, very physical team. So is South Carolina. Curious to see how the first couple of minutes go, that feeling out period that we typically see in the first 10, 15 minutes.
I remember that goal last year for Virginia Tech came in the 20th minute, and that was all that decided the matchup between the Gamecocks and the Hokies. Headed away by Fala, another freshman that has gotten a good amount of starts for South Carolina in her opening couple of games of collegiate play. Out to Warrenan. To the back line for Visage. Pressure coming from Spees for South Carolina. Straight to Cameron Dixon for the Gamecocks.
These are the opportunities, Bailey, where South Carolina, they can capitalize on these counters.
This is what Shelly Smith wanted them to be able to do, but here comes Dory Haugen able to force it out. It will be a corner for South Carolina.
That's exactly what Coach Shelly Smith wants to see. You force the turnover, and then quickly up front, Catherine Berry, try and find her early.
There is Shelly Smith, 22nd season at South Carolina, 4-time SEC Coach of the Year. 14 NCAA tournament appearances. This is one of the best teams she's had at South Carolina, mixing with the depth as well as experienced players and the younger players that have been able to get the starts. Cameron Dixon trying to bend the ball in. Header! And it'll go out for a goal kick for Lauren Hargrove. So we've mentioned Chugger Adair's resume throughout our broadcast here, the ACC Network, and just the fact that he's been able to turn in a couple of winners as well with a very deep ACC. A shot, and Hargrove is there.
You know, he's done an excellent job taking this program to heights that it has not been before. Part of course, that 2013 team that made the College Cup. He was the head coach for, and that's coming up on the 10-year anniversary of that band.
Right, for Virginia Tech, we've gotten close a few times getting to the NCAA tournament. Just imagine for both of these teams, I think the theme, Evan, is that they play in such stacked conferences with so many teams in the top 25. Here's Natalie Mitchell. Mitchell goes inside. Price, shot from Johnson. Heather Hins had to dive in the way of that. Keeps this one scoreless.
Great passing there in the attacking third. That's a great look and a good early test for Hins in goal. Great look, might have just been a little wide, but that was really well executed there.
Hokies have put the pressure on. Whistle blows. It will be a free kick for South Carolina. Johnson missed the last game, back in the lineup for Virginia Tech.
You know, when you lose someone like Emily Gray, who has not only done so much on the pitch, but off the pitch as a leader, Gabby Johnson is somebody that I think has kind of taken on that leadership role. She's been playing college soccer since 2017, was a 3-time team captain at Delaware before transferring here. That's pretty impressive.
Going back to her home state, Midlothian not very close to here, but still the culture of Virginia Tech very much splitting the entire Commonwealth between Virginia Tech and Virginia. And you can even say the Commonwealth has a good presence with South Carolina tonight. A lot of players coming from Northern Virginia for the Gamecocks.
No doubt about it. You know, Northern Virginia has become a really popular place to recruit the last 10 years or so.
Dixon ready to throw it in, coming from Cary, North Carolina, senior captain for South Carolina. There's Tori Powell. Powell trying to showcase the speed, and a foul called on South Carolina.
That's what Tori Powell does, right? She's a super physical player, Bailey. She can draw fouls.
Warren wasn't looking. Natalie Mitchell. Good tackle there for the Hokies. To Warren, looking for her friends in the box instead. Gamecocks are there. So Virginia Tech and South Carolina faced last year. Look at this beautiful feed in from Emily Gray to Nicole Kozlova. That was the game winner in the first half. Hokies won it 1-0.
South Carolina was ranked 12th in the country at the time. That was a signature win last year on the road in Columbia. But we've talked about it, Bailey, right? Both of these teams playing back-to-back years. Same teams. Yes, there are some familiar faces, but a lot of those top players, especially up top for both squads, no longer here in 2022.
With Emily Gray and Nicole Kozlova, such a big part of what made Virginia Tech successful in 2021. That's the only time that they faced off. So second all-time meeting between two of these perennial contenders in their respective conferences in the SEC and the ACC. The first time here at Thompson Field that two teams have met undefeated through 6 games since 2013. So this is, even before we get into the ACC set, this is such a big matchup. South Carolina has yet another ACC match coming after this against NC State.
They've played Clemson, scrimmage Duke, Florida State. You can make the argument South Carolina's played one of the toughest non-conference schedules in the entire country, Billy.
Right. Playing an ACC slate. South Carolina, a charter member of the ACC way back when.
And there you see Coach Shelly Smith. You know, not her first time she's ever coached here in Blacksburg. Led Rhode Island back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So asked her if she had any memories of that, Bailey. She said one of her best players forgot her cleats. Had to wait till halftime to get it back. She remembers that all these years later.
They said that their hotel was far away, and I believe that was before a Dick's Sporting Goods showed up in Christiansburg, Virginia. Or maybe you could just leave and buy one. Here's Visage.
Early on here, Bailey, there's a takeaway. Virginia Tech looks to have been the more aggressive team early. Had a couple of good looks. Haven't necessarily connected on that final pass like they need to, but you can see the ideas there, and I think Tech has been, again, more aggressive squad here in the first 10 minutes.
Had a decent shot from Gabby Johnson. South Carolina did force a corner. Ambitious through ball just rolls all the way to Hargrove. There's Palkowski. And a bigger collision there. Cameron Dixon forces the ball out, stays with Tech. What a big win Virginia Tech came off of over the weekend against the 49ers. So many players out, still managed to find themselves in a shutout victory, setting this one up to be a big one, Evan.
Absolutely. Emily McCarter, you touched on it, first ever starting goal, a position player, had to make some really tough saves too. I think it was good for Tech to get Tori Powell involved as well.
On midfield, see what South Carolina can do with a slight bit of momentum in transition here. Well, Hokies have had a couple of early chances. Let's get a look here, Evan.
That was their best look so far from Johnson, but this is in the first 35 seconds as Price got the right foot on that. Excellent work from Hins coming out of goal.
That's going across with what you said about the theme that Virginia Tech has been a bit more aggressive, but now South Carolina with a decent look. When the whistles come out for the officials, it'll be Virginia Tech ball. That's Shea O'Rourke, the freshman from Wheatfield, New York, coming off of her first career goal against Furman. Well, Lauren Hargrove put in a pretty tough spot for Virginia Tech as well. You think the starting goalkeeper for the Hokies moving into this season is Aaliyah Skinner, and then she goes down with an injury in the first game against William & Mary. Hargrove comes in. Hokies were down at that point, came back to win against William & Mary.
She gets so much praise from her teammates, Bailey, for not only being great on the field, but off the field. Has only given up one goal.
Natalie Mitchell gets bumped. It'll be a free kick for Virginia Tech. Great passing there for the Hokies, Evan. South Carolina forced to foul. The freshman's been a big part of the offense this year.
Easy call there for Mark Buda. Gracie Falla, the freshman for South Carolina, in a little early there with the contact. We just saw 2 opportunities for Tech already. Here's another one.
So who's going to take this free kick? Lauren Gogol lining up. Kenzie Graham, Mitchell, and Gogol. Well, Mitchell try this on net here. The freshman for the free kick. Right off of the wall and misses. With an absolute worm burner to the left, Evan. She put a lot into that one, but right back to her, trying to go off of the rebound there, falls wide.
It's a great way to describe it. What's the word you just said there, Bailey?
Worm burner.
Absolutely. I mean, again, another good look. And you want to definitely convert if you're Coach Chuck or Adair, but I mean, the opportunities have been there. You put a couple of balls really close to being on goal. It's a South Carolina team that's only given up 2 goals all season. A really good back line. And we haven't even talked a ton about Jalissa Harris and how she is the heartbeat of this team on the back line.
Yeah, Jalissa Harris, the 5th-year senior for South Carolina, all SEC first-team selection a few times in her career. Huge returner for the Gamecocks. That's going to be a test for a pretty young Virginia Tech attack we've seen today. Other than Tori Powell, we've seen shots from Taylor Price and now Natalie Mitchell, 2 freshmen going up against her. See if Powell can work on Jalissa Harris here.
It's going to be a fun matchup all night, Powell and Harris.
Resetting with Visage. There's Mackenzie Graham. A little bit of space for Graham.
Not a bad decision to take the shot there. Got to be careful about that.
Whistle blows, no card. And now a quick word with the official and Mackenzie Graham.
That's Mark Buda, our referee. And I think, Bailey, the issue there was, if you watch, and the replay will confirm it, see that tackle there from behind? Always dangerous when you do that there and tough to get all ball.
Yeah, I think that he was ready to call the foul, and then the argument is what stemmed the quick conference there. Falla. Sizing up a Gamecock attack here. Dixon, ball taken away from her from Pelkowski.
What great defense, though, despite the foul. That's a give and go, Bailey. That's going to create a ton of space in the midfield into the attacking third. 1-on-2 there. Pelkowski, great work.
Visage got into the way of the service there. Comes Powell. Cutting with speed. Lost control of the touch, and South Carolina is there.
But that is where Tori Powell, in my opinion, Bailey, where she is most dangerous. When you give her space like that, and she's in an all-out sprint, so tough to stop.
Meanwhile, a sprint on the other end. Spees, flag comes up. They say play on. Avery Visage there throwing a foot in. That could have really been tough for Virginia Tech when a pass that was going up to Lily Render, the Virginia native. This was called clean. An advantage play on for South Carolina.
In these first 10-15 minutes, not only is it important for both teams to feel each other out, also important for both squads to know how Mark Boot is going to call things throughout this 90 minutes.
Cross-field pass, Gabby Johnson. Oh, and what a play for Shea O'Rourke. Freshman going up against the grad student there and winning it back for South Carolina. Header from Gogol. And a whistle, definitely some pushing there. Mackenzie Graham hit the deck on the push from O'Rourke.
Looked like a little elbow extension there.
So now Virginia Tech sets up in the box. It'll be a free kick. The Hokies search for a header here. We'll try in the box. Pelkowski up to Mitchell. On the ground for Gogol. And the Hokies have to reset at midfield. A tough start for Virginia Tech on that set piece, but great job there by the defense of South Carolina.
No question. Virginia Tech has been able to connect on passes just outside the box, Bailey, but that's where South Carolina's backline, in my opinion, has been really good. Outside of one test for Heather Hins, it's really been the backline taking care of things for the Gamecocks.
That backline, part of what Shelly Smith has been so proud of this South Carolina team this year. Been able to defend really well. That's why they are undefeated at the moment, 4-0-2.
Well, think about who they've had to defend against, too.
Right.
Number 1, Florida State, East Carolina, Clemson, Virginia Tech. Talk about being tested early.
And they're not even into conference play yet. Another free kick. Looking for Visage. A whistle blows. What's the call here? And Virginia Tech is going to set up for a pivotal moment coming up here. Is it a handball? Get another look at this, Evan.
Yeah, right
yes.
there on the wrist.
Off of Cameron Dixon. So a penalty kick coming up for the Hokies. Natalie Mitchell trying to capitalize on the handball. Freshman against senior on the PK. Can Mitchell do it? She sure can. Hokies take the lead off of the handball. Struck on the penalty kick, Evan, and Virginia Tech did not take long to capitalize on the mistake.
Going top shelf there. You never know how many opportunities you are going to get against this kind of defense of South Carolina. You mentioned it, pivotal moment in this match. Mitchell able to deliver. And the freshman continues to have a standout first month in a Hokie uniform.
Second goal of the season for Natalie Mitchell, goes along with her 4 assists as well. And what a moment there as well, where there's a handball in the box, and the person you choose to take the penalty kick, which can be the most nerve-wracking moment in all of sports, you go to a freshman.
Well, that's the thing about this Tech team. They have had and shown so much confidence. That man right there, Chugger Adair, and starting Taylor Price, and Natalie Mitchell, and Ella Valente, Cardolo. I mean, so many freshmen have seen minutes.
Hokies pressing again, another cross. Hins colliding there. Price was in the area for Virginia Tech. And it was Hins and Falla. So South Carolina finding themselves in a situation that's been pretty rare this season. They're down early.
Remember, Bailey, this is just the 3rd goal that South Carolina has given up all year.
Right. Now down to Virginia Tech again, in a pretty early goal, just like what we saw last year. First half, Hokies taking the lead early. Shelly Smith. You could call that almost unlucky for South Carolina. Cameron Dixon just trying to play the ball up, and then it just went right off of her arm. Flag came up. Zulo was offside, so the Hokies ready to free kick this away. Junior from Flemington, New Jersey, beyond the line there.
Man, South Carolina, Bailey, hasn't had a ton of possession in the attacking third so far. Feels like possession has been controlled by Virginia Tech here in the first 21 minutes of this opening half. And sometimes, right, it can go 2 ways. For one team, you go up 1-0, you play a little, maybe more relaxed. But for South Carolina, too, maybe the pressure's off a little bit more, right? You know what has to be done. Still plenty of time in this match.
And the defense has still been strong for South Carolina. Hokies capitalizing on a PK, and like what we said, just a very almost unlucky moment for Cameron Dixon, team captain, a senior. It's knocked the ball right off of her arm, and now Virginia Tech is up 1-0. Going to Barry. Barry trying to create space. Keeps it on the ground, and Tess Hargrove.
Barry, we have only called her name maybe twice here in this opening half. Got to find a way to get her more touches. That's a good look there, and I love the decision. Turn the corner, get space, give it a go. Top goal-scoring option for this South Carolina team.
Story Haugen.
Coming all the way forward there.
Right, took a long time to pass that ball off. Here's Powell. Lead out for Graham. Mitchell wants it in the box. Taylor Price fought the ball away. It still will be a goal kick.
I think the story of this first half, Bailey, has been Virginia Tech's passing.
Right.
They have been crisp. They've been able to reverse field when they need to. They're getting good looks outside the box. Now, credit South Carolina's back line. Haven't had a ton of looks inside the box, but been really impressed with the connection of the midfield into the attacking third. Getting through to Tori Powell, Taylor Price up top.
Coming up with a goal kick here for South Carolina. Pressure has been on for Virginia Tech against the South Carolina back line since just about 30 seconds in. Fought off there. Throw in Hokies. Zulo got tangled up with Emma Palkowski, wanted the call. Tori Powell. Look at the speed there of Jalissa Harris. Fought the ball back.
You know, Bailey, one more thing about the passing, too. We talk about how South Carolina wants to create those counterattacks in the midfield because Virginia Tech's passing has been so good. That has limited the opportunities for the Gamecocks.
I mean, just look at the feed right there to Warren. There's Price. Graham eyes a service in. And kicked away by Dixon. Throw in Hokies. Solid effort there for Peyton Patrick to keep Mackenzie Graham honest. And that will be a Virginia Tech corner.
Just unfortunate there. Corena Zulo. Coach Chugger Adair told us he wants to see his team convert more set pieces, be cleaner on these corner kicks. First of the night.
See the Hokies lining up in the 6. Warren keeps it low. Maybe not exactly what Chugger Adair wanted.
Well, it's a Virginia Tech team, too, that has been so used to Emily Gray taking those corners. One of the more gifted passers in all of the country the last couple of years. So we've seen Emily McCarter take some corners. We've seen Ina Warren. Still only a couple of weeks into the season, Bailey.
And Mackenzie Graham doing a solid job of it as well, setting up that play that ended up being the handball for the penalty kick. Warren. I was looking for Price there, sails into the back line. It'll be a goal kick. So for Virginia Tech, lots of what this Hokie team has had to do is try to replace the whole left by Emily Gray, by Nicole Kozlova, both of them playing professionally now. And so far, so good, Evan. I mean, 5-0-1. This is the biggest test of the year so far, playing against the number 4 team in the country. But the Hokies have still been able to muster up results against pretty good teams.
And what a moment for the program, too, that we just talked about a couple of minutes ago. Chugger Adair taking this Tech program to new heights to have the number 3 overall pick in the NWSL draft. That's a huge moment for the program. I'm sure it's a huge recruiting pitch as well.
Aaron Passa went right to Tori Powell. Meanwhile, Emily McCarter now in. She was the goalkeeper in the last game and could make a difference on offense here on this play. Long pass, and Hins right there.
Virginia Tech has controlled the midfield, and it has been the Hokies that have been able to create some counter opportunities on takeaways. That's something that South Carolina is really good at.
Once again, a tough pass. Powell has a bit of a chance here, and it'll force a corner. That's back-to-back possessions for South Carolina that end quickly because of errant passes. Now the Hokies have yet another set piece.
Smart play there from Powell, recognizing she did not have numbers forward. Just take a quick shot on the goal, and hey, kind of works out, getting a corner kick.
Emily McCarter to take it. And lands on top of the net. How about for Emily Carter coming in as the goalkeeper, and we have seen her in so many different situations for Virginia Tech over the past few years. During her time here in Blacksburg, she could be a goal scorer, a big part of the midfield for Virginia Tech as well. And then coming in that rare role where she was a goalkeeper, and not only was she a goalkeeper, but she got a shutout in a position that she had not played since she was in Little League soccer.
Those are moments that you'll talk about down the road, your kids and your grandkids. I got to score goals and make saves at the Power 5 level. But Coach Adair just mentions that her ability to come in and volunteer to do that. She's another leader on this team who really leads by example.
They carried her off of the field, hoisted her up with like a hero after the win against Charlotte. Did not give up a goal.
Her good friend S.A. Phillips, a former goalkeeper, she actually got to wear her jersey in goal, and she actually got to be here. S.A. Phillips in attendance for that on Sunday. So a unique moment for her. Coach Adair just can't say enough good things about her. Also a civil engineer undergrad. I don't know how these players can be D1 athletes and then go through engineering.
Right.
Let alone a full 15 credits a semester. I know I couldn't.
As McCarter tries to get back into the mix there at the midfield, South Carolina retains possession. The feed up to Zulo again, and Polkowski steps in for the Hokies. Visage. Taylor Jacobson coming off of the bench. Natalie Mitchell has the game's lone goal, showcasing the speed. Mitchell for Powell. And Cameron Dixon slides the ball out. Hokies throw in. Lots of speed here, though, for the freshman trying to thread that into Tori Powell. Evan just a bit too far.
It's the right idea. Sometimes tough to execute that, but right decision. Great tackle there.
Great job by Cameron Dixon. Warren being pressured by Zulo. Price. The break wasn't there for Mitchell. Polkowski there. Price. Can she find space for Powell? Wide to the right. Boy, that looked close to being in for the Hokies. Decent strike there for Powell, but just wide.
And this South Carolina team just struggling to clear it in their own half of the field. What a great look.
Oof. That's our best look here. I had the right idea. Just going back to what you were saying, Evan, the passing for Virginia Tech has looked very sharp today, and you can't really say the same about South Carolina.
And that's typically a strength of this South Carolina team. I think this is a very important next 14 minutes, especially for South Carolina. Can you find a way to create some momentum, even if it's not a goal? Can you find a way to get Catherine Berry more touches here late in this first half? We have not called her name a lot. Shea O'Rourke is someone who's played really well coming in. I think trying to find some good possessions in the attacking third. Coach Smith would love to see that before halftime.
Yeah, just under 14 minutes. We really have not seen that yet here in the first half for South Carolina. Booted across midfield, looking for Berry. Berry racing forward. Can Berry convert? Looking for help. And it's booted out. That was nearly an own goal off of the boot of Haugen. But instead it'll be a corner for South Carolina.
Right on cue, Catherine Berry. Look at this first touch here that she had that got her out in front by a step. Good decision. That's what South Carolina needs to see out of Berry. And I think their best look of the night so far.
Yeah, Berry had her eyes on Shea Montgomery, freshman from Arlington, Virginia. That was a bit open there. Look at Berry, goal scorer for South Carolina, having their leader back with another year to spare, just a junior. Speaking of leaders, here's Jalissa Harris on the corner. Carolina equalize on the lowly struck corner, and it is kicked away. Hargrove had to make the save there. Got lost into the mix and will reset for yet again another South Carolina corner.
You see her yell a big let's go. That's all Hargrove there. That ball got by a Hokie. That's all Hargrove keeping this at 1-0.
Taking a bit higher and headed away. Throw in Gamecocks. So Hargrove making a big save to keep the Hokies in the lead in this one. Trying to find Berry. There's Dixon. Message clears. Throw in South Carolina. So what you were just talking about right before this possession started, South Carolina's got to try to find a way to have possessions in the attacking third. Can this be the one that ties it? Warden. Kicked away, throw in.
Again, this is good, right? This is the pressure that South Carolina wants to put on Virginia Tech that they did not do through the first 25, 30 minutes of this opening half.
There's Jacobson over to Montgomery. Box again, and there's Dory Haugen. It'll be a South Carolina corner. So the Hokies took the lead earlier on after a handball from Dixon. Right call, and the PK for the freshman's second goal of her college career. Now South Carolina ready to take yet again another corner. Harris gets the call. Punched away. And Emily McCarter just gets the ball out of harm's way. South Carolina will continue to pressure.
He mentioned, look at Hargrove going right over the head of Samantha Chang.
That was very close to Chang, and you're right, Hargrove had the wrist above her forehead. Punch that one away. There's Drake on the back line. Whistle blows. It'll be a free kick for the Hokies. So Virginia Tech finally gets a little bit of time and space to breathe, but some solid pressure there by the Gamecocks.
Ina Warren, great work. Someone who can play forward for Tech, but also great defensively. That's a huge 5-minute span for Lauren Hargrove. Has only given up one goal on the season. You know that she's going to be tested coming against the number 4 team in the country, and you see her taking command in goal. I think those are the kind of things you want to see if you're Chugger Adair. A couple of weeks in to her being the starting goalkeeper for this Toki team.
Oh, at midfield, Mitchell tangling up with Peyton Patrick. Into the box again for Carolina. Zulo clonks the ball right off of Warren. See if that was dangerously close to a handball. Warren didn't have much time to react to this, Evan. Let's get another look.
South Carolina wanted a handball.
It was close.
It was close.
Meanwhile, for Barry, inches away from the equalizer, but a goal kick for Virginia Tech. Catherine Barry knew she was going to be a focal point of this offense. Hargrove didn't even have to put a hand on that one, so it will be a goal kick.
Well, first 30 minutes, this first half, fair to say. Pressure from Tech. They controlled the tempo and the possession. But over the last 5 minutes, you can certainly kind of feel that pendulum swinging as South Carolina is gaining momentum.
That momentum continues here. Samantha Chang out for Jacobson. Corner kick, South Carolina. Just piling on the corners in the final 8 minutes of the first half. It's been a fun one. The pressure, like Evan said, was really drilled on by the Hokies in those opening minutes, but now it seems the tide has turned with Carolina down 1. Redshirt senior from Ontario, Samantha Chang. Lifted in the air, off of Barry's head. And Virginia Tech must have gotten a shoulder on that. They'll reset the corner on the other side. Well, South Carolina not hiding the fact that they are targeting Barry on most of these.
You know, as they should. Again, so much momentum coming in. And one thing, more attention that she draws, Bailey, the more that's going to help distribute other players up top for the Gamecocks.
This time going right at Hargrove, and she was there. Sophomore goalkeeper able to put her paws on it, and Virginia Tech stays in the lead.
Lauren Hargrove made just 2 appearances last year for Tech. As you mentioned, it kind of gets thrust into the starting role. This is her biggest test of her young career, and over the last 6 minutes, Bailey, she has stood tall and been really big for Tech.
Taylor Bryan getting some minutes for Virginia Tech. Watch for her speed on the outside. That corner was aiming at Hugo, who we haven't called upon yet for South Carolina, trying to come off of the bench, make a difference in the set piece. Sprint forward, Hargrove is way out of net. Trouble abound for the Hokies. Can South Carolina convert? And instead it's Dory Haugen coming to save the day for Virginia Tech.
Dory Haugen, you mentioned it, again, keeps us at 1-0. This is all Haugen. If this ball gets over her head, we're tied at 1. Excellent work to get back. She came out with Hargrove for that initial challenge. Great hustle. One of the moments of the day.
So now a corner kick for South Carolina yet again. Another one. Hargrove was way out of the net. See if the Hokies can defend this set piece. And the Gamecocks find the equalizer here. Trying to find a head, and it will be a goal kick. That time Fala was skying to the ball there. Seen a good physical matchup. South Carolina, that was definitely their best look, Evan. And Dory Haugen, that might be the play of the year so far on defense.
No question. Imagine if that goes in. You're tied at 1. South Carolina has all the momentum going into halftime. Haugen, definitely one of the leaders of that back line, experience playing on the U23 Norwegian national team. And when you have a new goalkeeper like Lauren Hargrove who's still getting acclimated, it's got to be so important to have someone like Dory Haugen with all that experience.
Good footwork there for Virginia Tech's Allie Lewis. Taylor Bryan stomping into the box. Fall is right there. Very pickpocketed by Warren. Warren again, trying to set something up for the Hokies inside of 4 minutes left before halftime. Warren tried. Cameron Dixon able to get the ball away. So Dixon, one of those experienced players for South Carolina, but definitely mixed in with a good amount of youth for the Gamecocks. We've seen some freshmen make some noise, especially with Shea Montgomery on that last play. Could have had the big assist to set it up to the junior and Karina Zulo. The youth has really been exhibited on both sides of this matchup, Evan.
No question. We asked Coach Smith about her freshman. She talked to us for about 5 minutes. She was so excited about the youth, and we've seen a lot of them make plays tonight. The future is certainly bright.
There's Valente. Sophie Maltese into the matchup for the first time. And the flag came up offside on the Hokies. So look at all of these freshmen getting so many minutes for South Carolina. Shea O'Rourke leading the team in points. Fala getting the start for South Carolina on the back line, mixing with the experience of Jalissa Harris.
Another player that Coach Smith really loves, Micah Bryant, the freshman from Stone Mountain, Georgia. Complimented her ability to either come off the bench or start. Really helps pace South Carolina in the back, something she attributed to her.
And there's Shelly Smith, her team down after the early goal off of a penalty kick ensued from a handball from Cameron Dixon. Hokies have been on their heels defensively for the last 10 minutes or so. Lima Carter stifles that attempt. Here's Maltese.
Very aggressive move from McCarter there to come forward. And Sophie Maltese scored in back-to-back matches early there against Delaware, and Elon has starting experience, but she's one of those players that can come off the bench and provide a spark, just like Taylor Bryan, who nearly had a takeaway.
Yeah, Taylor Bryan, so much speed, bringing in the fresh legs here the final moments of the first half. Missed all of last year, and you can just tell on her offensive chances that she is really sharp on getting that first goal in 2 years. Had a goal against Miami back in the 2020 season. Speaking of goals, can South Carolina find what could tie it up before halftime? Service in. There's Hugo. Excuse me, that's Coman. Emily McCarter. Looking for space out wide. Look at this solid effort from Shea Montgomery. Jacobson. Went across the touchline. 25 seconds now. He's in no rush. Comes Gogol. Out for Graham. Last gasp chance headed away by Falla, and that is it for the first half. Hokies go into the breakup 1-0 on the number 4 team in the country, and the crowd certainly excited for that here in Blacksburg.
2 unbeaten teams, talked about in the open, knew that this was going to be a really exciting match. Biggest test of the year for the Hokies, and it's Virginia Tech who controlled possession. Looked really good there in the first 45 minutes.
Now the pressure started.
So hopefully we'll get a better half with that.
Coach, thanks for speaking with us. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Well, take a look at the highlights of the first half. The only goal off of the handball from Dixon. It set up Natalie Mitchell, the freshman, right after that, Evan.
You know, Tech was putting pressure on South Carolina early in the first 15 minutes, rewarded with a goal.
Speaking of pressure, South Carolina turned it on for the Hokies, or against the Hokies in the last half of the first half. Lauren Hargrove really stepped up, and look at this big play right here with Hargrove and then Dory Haugen.
Dory Haugen, maybe the play of the match. Look at that clearance. Would have been a great look at goal. Nobody there, and Haugen keeps it 1-0.
Both of these teams trying to stay undefeated. Hokies 5-0-1, South Carolina 4-0-2. Lauren Gogol over to Gabby Johnson. Tori Powell back on for Virginia Tech, as well as Taylor Price. There's Price. Falla. Let's take a look at the stats from the first half. Hokies with 7 shots to South Carolina's 5. With those fouls, though, that seems right about where we thought we were going to be, Evan. This is a physical matchup.
Absolutely. Hokies like to play very physical. Speaking of physicality, but I tell you one thing was interesting, Bailey. 7 corner kicks for South Carolina in the first half to just 2 for Virginia Tech.
A few of them got really close for South Carolina to equalize there in that latter half of the first half. Lauren Hargrove really stepped up. There was one play where she had her fist over the head of Samantha Chang and punched the ball away on a beautifully struck corner. Even with Virginia Tech in the lead off of the penalty kick, you still have to give credit to South Carolina's defense as well. They have been so strong this entire match.
Absolutely. If there wasn't the penalty kick and it was scoreless, we'd be talking about how South Carolina has the momentum right now because of the way they played offensively the final 15 minutes of the first half.
Big free kick coming. A couple of fouls already on Shea O'Rourke.
Matt Graham caught in the air there, Bailey. That's the tough part about that.
Graham and O'Rourke have been battling the entire time. I mean, since kickoff, it has been such a brutal physical match between the two of them. The free kick. Gamecocks were there.
And here's that counter they've been trying to set up all in the first half.
Good move by Gogol. Comes Warren with a little bit of speed. Remember early on in the first half, Virginia Tech controlled possession. Are they able to do that here in the start of the second half? Good ball. There's Matt Graham. Graham with the left foot. And Hins is right there. Well, South Carolina tries to reset on the back line here. There were some moments there in that first half trying to thread the ball into Catherine Berry. The Hokies have done a solid job of keeping Berry as a limited factor, but certainly a lot of time left for the junior from Massachusetts to try to find an equalizer here.
No question. Had a couple of great touches on services to her. That first touch was so good at creating space. You can see why she's one of the more fun players in the SEC.
Put it away by Falla, as now we'll take a look and revisit Hughes Clues. Now, Evan, what has this game lived up to, those expectations you laid out for us?
Well, I think for Virginia Tech, they have done exactly what they want to do the first half. They defended as a team, and they controlled possession for almost the entirety of the first half. Meanwhile, for South Carolina, because Virginia Tech's passing was so good, they didn't have those opportunities in the midfield to try and counter. And I think down the stretch, they really did do a great job of feeding Catherine Berry. As soon as they force a turnover, they're playing a big ball up to her.
There's Tori Powell. Powell trying to force something. Powell with a right foot. Almost close to being in another handball for Dixon there on the tackling effort. Meanwhile, in transition, here comes O'Rourke. Gogol steps in. It's a foul. Free kick, Carolina.
It's not the worst foul because numbers were ahead for South Carolina. They still have a little bit of space here, but we're going to do it again, says Mark Buda. Gotta love the effort, right? Try and get away with that.
Now they'll set up with Jalissa Harris. Comes Berry. Defense swarming Berry.
You could almost see two Hokies immediately play to her, Bailey. They don't want to let her get one-on-one around the box.
There's Taylor Price. Wide open. The flag came up anyway. Shea O'Rourke just had Hargrove in front of her. Wouldn't have mattered if she would have connected anyway. Well, when we talked with Shelly Smith before this matchup, she said that Shea O'Rourke's minutes will increase as her stamina increases. She has rarely left so far this year. And we've seen in the early moments here of this second half, she has been really pivotal piece of this South Carolina offense and even on the defensive end as well.
It's got to be, I think, fun and unique for both of these teams. Think about it, Bailey. You've got a lot of young pieces on both sides. We've talked about O'Rourke, Falla on South Carolina. For Virginia Tech, you've got Price, you've got Mitchell, but you get to complement those young pieces with players with experience. For South Carolina, Catherine Berry. For Virginia Tech, Tori Powell. It's a good mix.
Another corner. 8th corner of the night for South Carolina. And a test upcoming for Lauren Hargrove. So can the Gamecocks convert here? Another corner. Eyeing for a head of Falla and cleared away. That was so close for Falla to find the net. Hokies got in the way at the last moment.
Look at the coverage here as Hargrove comes out. Great work from Mitchell, staying there at the back post. The Virginia Tech back line has stepped up in some huge moments this evening here at Thompson Field.
Montgomery. And it looked like the target on that corner was Harris at the back of the head of Fala. Dixon. Make that Montgomery actually off the right foot. Punched away. Hokies stay in the lead.
Once again, the right decision from Lauren Hargrove there, having to think quickly. Good decision. And again, the back line communicating with the goalie there in sync at a big moment.
Warden with the clearance to the back line. Get another look at this. South Carolina, you could hear the cries for a handball. See if they have something to back that argument. It looked like it hit the elbow of Visage, but boy, Montgomery wanted it. What do you think, Evan?
Well, I think it's certainly close, and when there's a handball called in the first 13 minutes, it's kind of like when 3 seconds gets called in basketball.
Right.
You're looking for that a little bit more. I think it's close. I think Mark Buda has done a really nice job tonight. I think he's really let both teams be physical, but blow the whistle at the right moments.
Well, we've seen a good amount of fouls and no yellow cards, which has really kept the pace of this game very interesting. Harris. A dangerous slide there for Torrey Powell, and a free kick ensues. So Powell, who had 2 goals in that last matchup. Scoreless so far today, the only goal between both teams. One from Natalie Mitchell. Absolutely bonkers here over a push-up contest. I think they're maybe 25 or 28 in. The form there where we just had a quick moment had succeeded.
Bailey, we should do that.
No, we shouldn't.
Yeah, you would crush me.
No, we should
I see
not.
the work you're putting in.
Okay.
I mean,
Just let's. I'm trying to get through the broadcast after getting up these stairs at Thompson Field. You want to do push-ups? You crazy? Come on. Here comes the throw-in for the Hokies. The Corps Cadets out here tonight. Virginia Tech with such a rich military background. So Corps Cadets night, they're here. They're always loud.
they really are. They make a difference. Certainly picked an important one to come to, right? 2 undefeated teams, number 4 team in the country in the house. They got to get their push-ups ready because after football games, they do push-ups as well, right? After touchdowns. So I hope there's a rotation of some sorts, right?
And these guys are going to be, the upper body day is going to be awesome. Big collision. Torrey Powell getting aggressive there. And as we said, the cards were not out. Looks like one's going to come out here. And it will for Torrey Powell.
And I think that's likely the right call without having seen the replay there. Got to be careful. Anytime that goalie's coming out. Well, first of all, see the push in the back of Torrey Powell there right into Gracie Fala.
All 3 players getting tangled up there. Fala, Hins, and Powell. Nobody got up from that looking like it felt really great.
You know, we haven't talked a lot about Heather Hins, senior goalkeeper for South Carolina. We've talked a lot about Barry and Jalissa Harris, but Heather Hins, has been a starter for almost 3 years. Number 4 team in the country. When you're playing against great competition like South Carolina is, non-conference and conference play, she is a big part of this team. Just 2 goals given up on the year, then of course the penalty kick today. So she's had a great start to her senior season.
Well, she's trying to walk off what just happened. Here comes Carolina. O'Rourke finds the net. And we are all equal in Blacksburg.
Excellent speed. Shea O'Rourke. Look at her get by two defenders. Just enough to sneak it past Hargrove. The freshman, the 2020-21 Gatorade New York Player of the Year. Excellent goal and great creativity. Not going near post there, able to sneak it through. And we are all tied here at Thompson Field.
Well, the energy there for O'Rourke, who's been knocking on the door all night. Evan, you had hinted at it earlier when we asked Coach Smith about her young players. Started off with O'Rourke, very proud of her work so far this year, mixing well with a group of veteran players. You saw the passion exhibited there, all tied up at 1 apiece.
Coach Smith talked about with us at halftime that they made adjustments midway through that first half. Tech was passing the ball so well, gotten away from that a little bit. I think that's a testament to South Carolina's defense. Can the Hokies get back to the way they were playing early in this match and dominating possession? Let's see what changes, if anything. Still plenty of time here.
There's Pelkowski. Gabby Johnson with a left foot. And Hins was there.
Gabby Johnson scored a couple of big goals this year for Tech. Plenty of space. Love the decision to give that a go. It's on target.
You were able to talk about the passing of Virginia Tech. That's another solid passing effort for the Hokies. A decent look for Gabby Johnson. You can see it in her face there. Might want to have that one back.
I think she might have been surprised how much time she had. Nobody really around her there, just outside the 18.
Oh, Carolina pressing forward with the game at 1-1. Natalie Mitchell. Small amount of space, and Harris was there.
It's also a lot of these touch passes for Tech, right? Not a lot of big balls forward. Quick connecting passes in the midfield. And here's Barry.
Catherine Barry going 1-on-3. Barry cuts, left footer. Wow, what a goal! We highlighted her at the beginning. South Carolina's goal scorer strikes again. It's 2-1 Gamecocks.
What an unbelievable effort. Two defenders closing in. Beautiful move there. Can only go far post. That is an elite goal right there. Right off the post. Look at that move right there, Bailey, to create the space. That's all Barry. And just like that, 5-minute span, number 4 team in the country with the lead here in Blacksburg.
Well, she had no other options than that low percentage shot, and she converted. So the Hokies went in with a lead, now trying to tie it back up. Barry getting a breather. Tori Powell lofted the ball right to Hins.
That's now 3 straight matches that Catherine Barry has scored in for South Carolina. Conference play coming up next week. It's got to be a good thing when arguably your top threat up top is as dialed in as she is right now.
Got to look there after the goal. The South Carolina contingent is still very strong. And lots of these players for South Carolina coming up and down the eastern seaboard. It is not an easy trip to get to Blacksburg, and they have made it today. Another look at this foul here. Gabby Johnson. I can see a little bit of frustration starting to pile up for Virginia Tech.
No doubt. I mean, it's tough to give up 2 goals like that, right, when you've had the momentum playing so well. But this is why you schedule these kind of matches if you're Chugger Adair and Coach Smith, right, early in the season to be tested. This Hokie team, Bailey, has not had to play from behind since, I want to say, William and Mary in their season opener.
The Hokies did come back and win that one with a pair of really clutch goals in the final 10 minutes for Tori Powell and Emma Pelkowski. But, well, frankly, Evan, as we all know, South Carolina might have a little bit more talent than the folks in Williamsburg that Virginia Tech faced off against. A tall task, yet another corner kick. Lofted towards the 6. Loose ball and cleared away. Here comes Price. Price breaks ahead. Can she tie it for the Hokies? The freshman with space. Wow, what a defensive effort. Colliding in the box. Look at South Carolina's defense. Gamecocks stay ahead 2-1 against all odds.
Unbelievable. Price, the breakaway speed to split 2 defenders. Looked like she might have enough room to have a good look and decided to take that extra step. What great work from that back line of South Carolina to get back.
Natalie Mitchell, can she be the freshman to tie it? Goal kick. So look at this defensive play. Got to give it to Price. Broke past Hins. And Jacobson right there. Wow. Saved it from being tied.
Taylor Jacobson, someone who has really worked hard to get into the role she's in now. 2nd most appearances off the bench of any player last year. Now an everyday starter. And those are the kind of moments when Coach Smith turns on the tape to review. That's the difference between a victory and maybe a tie.
So far, 2 ties for South Carolina, both against ACC opponents they have faced this year in Florida State, as well as Clemson. So when we talked to Coach Smith at halftime, she said, we didn't play very well there in that first half. They have let a spark here in the second. Hokies still pressing, though. Graham.
Last thing about that play, too, right? She could have gone one-on-one. You got to credit Hins coming out and making it difficult to step over.
Graham ran out of space and slipped. It's a goal kick. You have to give it a Price for even making that possible. The freshman was just in a foot race, found a way to break ahead. Hins had to step up forward. And even though Price was able to break past her, Evan, Hins was what made that shot inevitably difficult, even with the goal open.
No question, because if she's able to step over her, I think Price is thinking this is going to be easy touch after she steps over and finish that. But because she came out, took an extra second to adjust. At that point, you don't have a great angle. Great work from Jacobson. Wow. How about the last 10 minutes?
Exciting soccer here in Blacksburg. SEC versus ACC, only the 2nd all-time meeting for South Carolina and Virginia Tech, meeting in consecutive years. And a kick back there from Eveline Hahn. Hokie fans and maybe the Hokie players not a fan of that.
Well, it looked like Johnson was trying to throw it in quickly, and then she just kicks the ball well away.
Well, no call from the officials. Hokies go beyond midfield, down 1. Throw in South Carolina. And that Avery Visage.
Still tons of time left here, Bailey. 25 minutes. I think Tech has possessed the ball fairly well here recently. Obviously gotten some looks, even outside of the Price breakaway.
South Carolina talking about what they want to do in transition. Look at what they did with those 2 goals with O'Rourke and then potentially the game winner with Barry if this stays the way it is. Hahn. Throwing Hokies. So Hahn coming off the bench, a South Carolina native. Does have a goal this year as well as an assist.
They made our first start of the year against Furman last match.
South Carolina coming off of playing against 2 in-state foes. Got the win against Furman. Battle of unbeatens.
Evelyn Hahn, how about this, Bailey? Brother Brendan on the Lehigh rugby team, and her sister Clara Rose at Dartmouth.
Wow.
And then Evelyn Hahn playing soccer at South Carolina. What an athletic family right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Thanksgiving's got to be one heck of a turkey bowl.
Those can get intense.
Yeah, my family, I was the only guy around with all my cousins, so really couldn't do anything like that, Evan. How about you? Already thinking about Thanksgiving in September.
My dad has sprained his Achilles before in those games. Sometimes we have to have a cooling down period before we eat because tempers flare. It's very intense. Turkey bowl.
Families are fun.
Families are
fun.
Yes. Still have Halloween first, though. Can't overlook that before they start.
Right. Comes the cross in. Here's Gogol. Taylor Bryan. Sophie Maltese coming off of the bench. Bryan got shoved. Do they have a call? Hokies want a penalty kick. They don't get it. Emily McCarter for Maltese now. Got to get another look at this. She was inside of the box. Very close to it, Evan.
And to me, there's enough extension of that elbow to blow the whistle. Again, off the ball, I think her momentum was already going a little away, but you see Chugger there. I mean, again, anytime that elbow is extended, Bailey, that can warrant a whistle.
It's a dangerous play for South Carolina. She was not very far inside of that box at all and just inches away from a whistle and a PK, the second one of the day for the Hokies. But now a corner kick. Big chance for the Hokies to convert. They keep it on the ground. Aiden Patrick, stolen away by Graham. Free kick Gamecocks. Graham has gotten a good amount of minutes in this game. Chugger Adair looking on, his team leading at half. Now with a flurry of goals for South Carolina in a few minutes between O'Rourke and Barry. Number 4 team finds themselves up.
How about this Gamecocks team, right? You come in, and it kind of feels like the first 12 minutes you get punched in the mouth a little bit, right? Tech comes out really executing well. Penalty kick. But slowly but surely they chipped away. Final 15 minutes, started to possess the ball, got Barry involved. Then went into halftime. And Bailey, 2 goals that were pretty well defended both times by Tech's back line. Just even better work in the attacking third. This just goes to show how talented South Carolina is, why I think they're a threat to not only win the SEC, but an Elite 8 team last year with so much back. I mean, they could contend for a national championship.
They'll certainly have the pieces to do it. Got to the quarterfinals last year, lost 4-1 to BYU. You see that goal from Barry. That's as good of a goal as you're going to see, showcasing the athleticism off of post.
It's just kind of a moment where it feels like you got to tip your cap if you're Chuck
Right.
Adair and Virginia Tech.
Warren in now. Kicked away. Hokies throw in.
Micah Bryant coming in for South Carolina. Really good defender. Coach has mentioned she's great in a starting role and off the bench. One of those really good freshmen that they have.
Graham calling for the ball. She gets it. The defense really strong for South Carolina. Jalissa Harris, yet again, another play. All SEC throughout her career, coming back for yet another season for the Gamecocks. And you were talking about, Evan, if they have the tools to make it deep in the NCAA championships, Jalissa Harris certainly is one of those pieces. Peyton Patrick wide open off of the tough pass. Hahn now off the side of the net.
Tech lucky that's not 3-1 right there, Bailey. That back line's been so good all day. We've talked about how their passing's been so good, but just a little short of the intended target there of Visage. And a nice 2-on-1.
Oh, it's almost the second goal of the year for Hahn. Hokies still within striking distance, only down 1.
I feel like it's that time of the match, still a couple of weeks in, where it's a good reminder that, hey, no overtime.
So can Maltese try to find a head for the equalizer? Has to slam on the brakes into the corner. Tangled up. Free kick, South Carolina. Maltese coming off for the bench with goals against Delaware and Elon. Trying to make a difference here against South Carolina. Free kick right at Emily McCarter.
That could have been a whistle.
Again. No call. Spees up for Patrick. Peyton Patrick with a healthy cut. And Warren stifles the attack. Patrick ran out of space and a throw in. Looking for Maltese. Micah Bryant. Flag was up. So an offside on the Gamecocks. It was a free kick for the Hokies.
Tech starting to play a couple of players forward here late in the second half. I'd like to see Ina Werner possess the ball a little bit more in the midfield, Bailey. She's so creative, can be a connector. Here she is.
That's slotted up to play against Charlotte a few days ago. So many players out. Tons of minutes for the sophomore from Finland.
And she can do a lot of different things on this team. We've seen her defensively tonight be really good, but I think she's really good when she plays forward a little bit more.
Here's Hahn. Hahn trying to work on Haugen. Patrick coming to the rescue in the box. Won't matter, corner kick.
And this is a stat that South Carolina has really dominated today, the corners.
So South Carolina was down 1-0 going in at half. Here are the goals. First it was O'Rourke and then Berry for South Carolina, but want a goal there to equalize. And look, this could be potentially the game winner, Evan.
Look at that move. I mean, you got two defenders there. Those are two really good defenders. Dory Halligan and Ina Warren. And great space created.
Trying to go up 3-1 here. Off of the head. Falla trying to find space. Can the freshman put it in the back of the net? And it's a save instead for Hargrove. Keeps the Hokies just down 1.
Hargrove, decisive, confident here. Has enough space. That was a big touch there from Falla.
So it stays 2-1. Big tackle for Kogel.
You know, regardless of what happens here tonight, Bailey, I think Coach Chuggerdare's got to be really pleased with the job that Lauren Hargrove has done. Arguably the biggest start of her college career. I mean, you just saw the 2 goals, right? I mean,
Hahn. The cross goes off of the head of McCarter. Chipped forward and blasted away.
And the Gamecocks think they're going to get their handball.
Finally for South Carolina. It seems like so many plays tonight have just bounced off of just the elbow area. Remember, that's how the Hokies scored first in that first half, was off of a handball of Cameron Dixon. PK set up immediately after Natalie Mitchell, her second goal of her college career. Berry back in for South Carolina. And a goal kick. So 2-1 South Carolina. Here's how we got there. Natalie Mitchell, her second goal of the year. Shea O'Rourke and Catherine Berry bringing those 2 goals on within 2 minutes of each other. And the number 4 team in the country leads right now.
Think about the other goals we could have had, right? If it weren't for Dory Halligan making a stop in the first half. If Taylor Price converts on that breakaway.
Fresh legs in for the Hokies. Ella Valente coming in. Another sprint forward for Carolina. Berry about to set up there for another shot. Instead, it is a whistle that halts that play and a Hokie down. That's Visage, joined by Ryan Coman. Well, this has continued to be a physical matchup, and ugh.
It kind of looked like knees collided here. Oh, and then kind of an elbow to the neck area. That's why it's one of the most physical sports in the world, right, Bailey?
Right. We've seen a good amount of fouls today as a result of that. $19 of them.
It's been a busy day in the office for Mark Buda.
Right, and just 1 yellow card. Tori Powell booked early on in the second half. Footwork for Spies. Goal kick.
Now, Coach Shelly Smith, one word that she said a lot on our call: depth, depth, and depth. And she feels like this team has that compared to maybe previous teams. And I think this is really where it shows, right? Late in the second half, when you've been running for 70, 80 minutes, having those fresh legs. And this is a South Carolina team that's had 8 different players score this season. Just a ton of options.
Header forward for Tech, just down 1. A tough touch on the outside. Hahn onside with it. Berry's in the box. Instead for Montgomery. Taken away. Huge defensive effort for Emma Pelkowski.
Great ball here.
Valente now. Jalissa Harris, just when the Hokies thought they had a bit of momentum moving forward. Redshirt senior on the back line steps for South Carolina. Barry, we've seen her in this position before. Wide open for Hahn. Hahn over the crossbar. So it just stays a one-goal game with 10.5 minutes to go.
With how good Catherine Barry is, she draws attention, right? Look at the defenders coming. 2 Hokies, great ball there to reverse field, great look. And I think for South Carolina over the next couple of weeks, you're going to hear a lot more about Shea O'Rourke, Eveline Hahn, because of the attention that Catherine Barry draws.
All of the depth for South Carolina. We didn't really talk much about Hahn in the first half. Now here in the second half, in the last few moments, she's been a big difference. Free kick for South Carolina. Once again, it's Hahn.
Eveline Hahn, 3rd on the team in goals a year ago. South Carolina lost a couple of pieces, but she is somebody that up top can be very important.
Another cross. Barry was almost there. Right footer. Surges to the right from Claire Griffiths. The substitution for South Carolina. O'Rourke back in. She had the game-tying goal in the 57th minute.
You know, one name we have not called a lot here in this second half is Tori Powell.
Right.
Can she find a way to get a couple of touches here late in this second half?
Natalie Mitchell. The defense has just had such a great plan from South Carolina for Tori Powell. And really for everybody for Virginia Tech. That's 8.5 minutes left. South Carolina trying to complete this comeback, only down 1 goal at half.
Been so impressed with their ability to make adjustments and really just kind of flip the script, Bailey.
So the Hokies can do that here. Cardulo spreads out wide.
Try to go around 2 defenders there.
It seems as if, though, Evan, every time Virginia Tech has had a break, it's almost like the defense for South Carolina almost spontaneously generates 2 or 3 defenders around 1 attacker for Virginia Tech.
Taylor Price and the breakaway opportunity might be the moment of this game if this score holds. Just, it almost felt like magically out of thin air, 2 defenders pop up. It was like one-on-one.
Off the set piece. Barry showing the physicality, moving forward. And Gogol wins the ball back for Tech. Just 7 minutes left. Barry whiffed. Pelkowski trying to set something up. Eyeing ahead. Another ball in. Hokies can't convert.
But a good look and a great ball to Pelkowski to set that up. Shall we go here?
Tech not done yet. Pelkowski tries on net. Hins is there to gobble it up. And South Carolina remains in the lead with just 6:40 left. Headed away. Jugger Adair getting a quick moment in with Taylor Bryan. Looks like she's about to take the penny off there and come in.
I really like that move because it's almost like she finds the ball immediately when she comes in, Bailey. And she has been so close. She's been knocking on the door of scoring last couple of matches.
Hokies want a result against South Carolina. Remember, no overtime if the Hokies are able to muster up an equalizer here. It will stay as 2-2 if the regulation ends at 2-2. No overtime. On the other hand, the Gamecocks trying to stay undefeated and improve to 5-0-2. Both of these teams unbeaten.
Here comes Brian. A little confusion of who she's coming in for.
And it is Valente. Chugger Adair was not excited about that. Tori Powell. Barry.
Oh, nice move. Very crafty, Bailey.
Yeah, 4 minutes and 45 seconds away from her having the game winner in this matchup as well. Tori Powell. Powell in the middle. Bumps out wide for Price. The defense so strong for South Carolina. Taylor Bryan services in. Back in midfield for Tech.
Great work there from Powell through two defenders, even to stop and get a look.
Haugen. Ambitious pass moving forward for Tech. Hokies wanted a call, nothing there. Gogol. Can something break for the Hokies here? Bryan wide open in the wing. Comes Bryan with a cut. Off the right foot. It's loose in the middle. Only for a moment with 3.5 minutes left.
Love the patience from Bryant there, running down that end line.
Almost good enough for Pelkowski. Back to midfield.
All numbers forward here for Tech.
Price out wide again. Taken away, Cameron Dixon.
That was so well done.
Well, the senior captain on the defense in Dixon.
I feel like we have not called Dixon's name enough tonight, but when we have, it's been in big moments for South Carolina.
Such a huge play there. The entire defense playing so well. Natalie Mitchell now from way out. Hins didn't have to move. South Carolina can take a break for only a moment. More fresh legs coming in for the Gamecocks. There is Cameron Dixon. Had that handball early on. An unlucky mistake for the South Carolina defender. It ended up with a PK for Virginia Tech. Put the Hokies up 1-0, but South Carolina coming back in the second half. Catherine Berry out, Spees in.
But she recovered so well after that PK. And resilience is a word that gets used a lot in sports, but very sound last 80 minutes.
See here with a big free kick, South Carolina doesn't have to rush at all. It's taking the time off of the clock. Hahn dribbles into the corner. Exactly what South Carolina wanted to do there. Less than 2 minutes. Free kick Hokies. Tech has to rush. Clock ticking inside of 1 minute and 45 seconds. Here comes Warren. Hargrove. Taylor Bryan hasn't scored a goal since 2020. Can she find a moment here?
Bailey, been so impressed with South Carolina's ability. The last 10 minutes with this much pressure from Virginia Tech, they have been cool, calm, and collected in these tense moments.
Exactly what you expect out of such a deep team that Shelly Smith spoke so highly of. Tough touch there for Bryan. Could that have been it for Virginia Tech? Pawlikowski there with a header. Gogol across midfield. Hokies have to hurry, just 30 seconds. Another throw-in. Potentially one final chance for Tech. Natalie Mitchell. Hargrove way out of net. 9 seconds. And that is going to do it. South Carolina down 1-0 at half. Comes back with a pair of goals from O'Rourke and Berry and stays undefeated with a win in Blacksburg. See the hero with the game winner there. Evan, what a goal it was and what a stance